Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of WNY High School Sportsline. I am Frank Wolf, and I'm going to have Dennis Sarow from the County Cup join me in just a little bit. But I want to thank some of our sponsors today, UBMD Orthopedics, Scroy Financial Plan, Protect, Invest, and G&G Fitness Equipment. On the show today, as I mentioned, Dennis Sarow is going to be stopping in for a little bit. He's got a few. I want to discuss a few things with Dennis. Most importantly, the recent announcement that New York State Public High Schools have agreed to an extra game, which was a big announcement and something that we've all been kind of hoping for. Ken Stolt and his committee from Section 6 had a great argument and a great plan in place to see that through, along with other members of the football community across Western New York, those sectional chairmen from around the state all joined a band together to make sure that was going to happen. So we were happy to see that. Dennis being a member of the County Cup for how many years have you been on the County? 25 years. Wow, he's been on the County Cup for 25 years. So he's seen quite a bit of football, and I figured he'd have a good opinion and some good comments as far as that goes. So I want to thank Dennis for joining me today on that. Why don't we hear from a word from one of our sponsors, and then we'll be back after a word from Scroy Financial.
We didn't get here by accident. It starts with a plan to protect your future, to invest in your future. It started with Scroy Financial. Plan, protect, invest. Scroy Financial.
Plan, protect, invest with Scroy Financial. Dennis, how you doing? It's been a little while since we've had you on here.
Hanging in there, trying to do your best you can with this craziness going on.
Absolutely. So, Dennis, you've been on the County Cup. You mentioned 25 years. Everyone knows you from around Western New York. Not just your work with the County Cup, which is a huge job, but also all your work in the Kenton School District, keeping scores and working with those teams, the softball team. You have a great relationship with Hall of Fame coach Matt Shimura over there, and you work at Sorrentino Sporting Goods. Everyone knows you when they go in there and they see you over there. You did a lot of work there. Still do every now and again. I see you in there.
Yeah, hang out there with the boys.
Yep.
I hope they can get through this.
I hope so too. If you need a hockey jersey, give Kevin or Joe a call over there at Sorrentino's. If you need your glove done, a new glove, new bats. Sorrentino's is the place that I've always gone for jerseys and that sort of thing. Good hats. They got everything over there on Sheridan Drive in Kenmore right next to Ted. So you can go to Sorrentino's, put your order in for a jersey, go on over to Ted's and have a hot dog.
Before that, you could stop at Paul's across the street, too.
Yeah. Paul's is open again.
Yeah.
Ted's is open, too. It just takes a little while longer to get your order. But here we are on May 29th, just a couple more days left before we hit June, and we are on our way towards a fall season, we believe anyways. We're under the impression we're going to have one. Coming up on the show in a little bit, I got an interview with Joe Kraus, a professor. Had him on today, and that was a great interview as always with Joe, young man there that's on his way into becoming the next, maybe Chris Berman, something along those lines, maybe a Jack Edwards from Nesson. We'll have to wait and see what's in store for Joe, but he plans on still contributing here at WNY Athletics, so that's huge for us. Glad to have him. His college professors at Kenesha should be proud. He did a good job with him.
Yeah, he's good.
You like Joe.
It's good for the kid. It's good to see that, he still wants to go back and go with people that got him started.
Yes, absolutely. He's one of those guys that just kind of never gives up and just sees something he wants and he fights for it, or like tooth and nail. And there's bumps in the road along the way, of course, that we all experience, but Joe just kind of finds a way to get around them. So 25 years on the County Cup.
Yeah, it seemed like yesterday it just started.
Yeah. County Cup is coming up on its 50th year.
No, this will be 49.
Well,
if we do.
Yeah. Well, we're coming up on the 50th.
Yes, very soon.
You guys wanted to do something special for those 50 guys. What was that you were going to try and do for the 50th?
Well, we're trying to get as many as we can to come back in. Now with not having with the way the playoff system has changed, we're not going to be doing a Saturday.
Yeah. You're going to
final. We're going to go to a Monday night. But, we were trying to bring them in for the weekend to do something, but now we're trying to get the hook up that maybe we can bring them in on during the summer and during that All-Star game that
Yeah.
Lions Club put on. Maybe bring them in and have them, introduce whatever guys can go like at halftime or
Yeah.
something.
That'd be nice. That'd be nice to tie them in with that. I got a couple calls into Len Thornton to see where they are with that this year. Stage 4 or Phase 4, whatever they're calling
Yeah,
it,
it's
for
phase 4.
reshaping, should be at the end of June. So that gives them time to practice and have that game, depending on fans or not. I don't know if they'll have fans there, but there's still a good opportunity and chance that they will have that game. So I'm waiting for Len Thornton to get back to me and let me know if they're going to do that or not. So, Len, if you're watching, answer your phone or send me an email. Or if you're coaching that game, you could also call me and let me know what's the latest on that.
The thing is, if you're, and it's going to be a big key. I know you're talking about fans, but how much media you're going to allow at the game too. I mean, there's a lot of things you got to really look into. If you have no fans, hopefully you'll have enough media there to cover it, or at least to get these kids recognized.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see on that. It's it's important.
Yeah, we're in the same boat.
Yeah.
We're going to have to find out what they do, what our limitations will be as a committee.
Yeah.
We'll, could have to rely more on these coaches sending film to us.
It's possible. Anytime you go to a game on a Friday night, if it's where you got it, it doesn't even have to be two of the top premier teams in it. You see them all over Western New York. There's 2 or 3 guys on a sideline. Sometimes it's only one. Sometimes, games get over and some guys will head over to here where a game's still going on with social media and the text messaging. You got a guy that went down to Fredonia for the night and he's on his way back and there's still a game going on in Orchard Park or, maybe at Lancaster and you stop over there for the final few minutes or quarter just to get something in to get a feel for a few guys.
And then you got some of the schools that are Saturday night only.
And that's a beautiful. I love that Saturday night game.
Oh, it's great.
Jerry Smith, St. Francis likes to have that. We should have more Saturday night games.
Yes.
I think with the official shortage that we do have a shortage with officials. That's one of the reasons why they opened up that Saturday night to have more games, and that's why you have these Thursday games. It's because of the officials.
Now you got to look at the fact too. How the officials going to feel about coming back and doing these games. I mean, there's so many things that everybody just think it's a 1, 2, 3, it's done. There's so much in the background that's got to be done before a game's even played.
Yeah, long way to go. They're talking about only so many people on a bus at once, social distancing on the bus. That's an expense.
Yeah.
So now you go from having one bus to 2 buses.
Or 2 buses to 4 buses.
You
got 40 people on it, but and they're only going to let you have 10 to 15.
Crazy. So that's something that needs to be addressed. We'll have to see where we are, but we're hopeful there's going to be a season. There should be a fall. I know that New York State Public High School sent a tweet out that they are planning on moving ahead. August 24th is that first date kids can get out and start practicing and things of that nature. So we're going to have to pay attention to that. But it's going to be interesting. And I know there's a lot of social media posts out there, guys saying, stop giving people false hope. And I don't think it's a sense of false hope. All you're doing is you're reporting what you're hearing from the section, from the state level. It's not a sense of false hope. You have to be ready for it.
Well, that's the thing is that if you want to be ready for it, and you, what are you going to do? Sit on your hands and all of a sudden they say you can have it and you're not ready?
You have to be ready for anything.
Yeah.
So, we're planning ahead to have guys out each Friday, Friday and Saturday night for football games. That's a no-brainer. We're also taking a look at these soccer schedules and these field hockey schedules and so on and so forth. And can we get out there? Can we, we'll be ready either way. We're going to be ready to do these things. Who I wanted to send a shout out to before we get too far is the Palmatier family. Todd down there, Franklinville, Ellicaville, huge supporter there, does a lot of the announcing of the football games. His son, Evan, received a liver transplant.
Oh.
And you've been reading about his story for the past year or so, all the hardships he's had to go through, and it looks like he's finally healthy and going home. So prayers have been answered. So I want to give my best to that young man, Evan. We've been thinking about you throughout the whole ordeal, and we're glad to hear that everything's working out. Todd does a great job. He's a big fan of ours, and we're big fans of his. And so thank you very much, and God bless you guys out down there. And it's just a miracle, and we're happy. Prayer is good.
Yeah, he's going to have a long road ahead of him still, but thank God everything worked out.
Yep. So that was definitely a feel good story, a happy ending there. We're high school sports guys, so we're going to stick to the topic of high school sports, not get too crazy. I know we could talk about the Sabres, but we're not going to do that. We don't want to give anybody else an ulcer. But so recently they announced they were going to have that 8th game. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to get your thoughts on that. New York State Public High School approved the proposal to add that game. They're calling it Week 0.
Yeah.
So like Lancaster now, the Class AA teams, their schedule was full. They got the 6 regular season games against their class, and then that 7th game was against the non-leaguer,
Depew.
So now that they have that extra game, they will be playing Bennett Week 1.
The only thing, I just, it's not a mandatory game. I wish that they should have made it mandatory because you want to get these kids out there recognized. And I think it's also going to, the main reason a lot of people don't realize when a Buffalo school a private school playing the Catholic schools, a lot of, like you said, their schedules are full. They have their 6 games, then they don't have the room for it. With this extra game, let's get back to playing.
They can get creative.
Yeah, let's get back to playing those games. You want what's best for the area. And the more you get seen, the better you are.
Yeah.
Wow. I understand that the Catholic schools, you do want to go away to play some of these powers. Here's your local schools got a chance to play some good competition and get them ready for the season. Let's see more of that handled.
If you're a Class AA school, public school, you can't hide for long. At some point, you are going to have to go through Section 5 where they do have their private schools like Aquinas and McQuaid just waiting for you. So, to me, if you're not testing yourself against the best schools in our area, you stand little chance of getting past Section 5 because they do include those private schools. Yes, it's always hanging in the balance, the whole recruiting thing. I understand that. But Eric Rupp says it best, and Jerry Smith says it best, and some of these other coaches that I've talked to. If you run a good program, a solid program, the last thing you're going to worry about is players leaving. If you're doing things the right way, you don't have to worry. I mean, kids are going to leave sometimes just they're not getting the ball enough. They feel like they're not fitting in. And that does happen. But here's the thing. If you're not getting the ball enough at a program like a St. Francis or a Lancaster, all that means is you have to work harder.
Exactly.
As the athlete, you have to work harder. So if you're not getting the ball at Lancaster, there's a reason for it. Because they are groomed to win every year. If you're at an OP, a Bennett, it's no different. The best players play. Those coaches play the best players that give them the best opportunity to win. You have to bust your ass in practice. You have to be a good student in the classroom and respectful. But you got to work hard in all those phases. And if you're not busting your butt to be the best runner, the best receiver, the best blocker, what have you, you're probably not going to get as many snaps. The coach has to be able to depend on you. He's not putting you out. He's not keeping you on the sideline because he's trying to punish you. Unless you really did something stupid in the middle of the week and they sit you for a quarter or you talk back. You do something disrespectful, you're going to get, no matter who you are, you're going to get put in your place. But that coach is doing everything he possibly can to get your team to victory. Now, if you're not balling out during the week in practice, how can he count on you to ball out for 4 quarters on a Friday night or Saturday against a big team? He can't. It's just life.
I remember when I'm a graduate of Kemmer West. Back then, that Jules Zakupovich used to be there, and he'd tell you, if you don't, I'm not here to get you in shape. I'm here to teach you to run my program. You don't want to come in shape. You will be sitting there. It's up to you to get yourself into that playing shape and be the best person out there.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're a student athlete out there, and we've seen a number of kids leave schools for one reason or another, and a lot of the times I see on social media from the kids or from the parents that, yeah, well, we weren't getting the looks we thought we'd get over here, or, we don't like what the coach was doing here. That coach is trying to win football games. A lot of the times you have to look in the mirror and say, what am I doing to help this team win? Am I sulking on the sidelines during a practice, during a drill? Am I not taking it serious? Am I coasting? Am I floating? Am I not putting the work in? If you're not, it's easy to see. And it's a no-brainer for that coach to put someone in that's there busting their butts throughout the practice at every drill. You cannot take plays off in high school. Oftentimes, a game is won or lost by one play.
Yep.
And it might not be even something that you and I can see as it happens. But when you go back and look at that film, you say, you know what, that's the block where they get the sack. It's third and whatever, and all we need to do is get a first down here, and we keep the clock running. We could have ran out the time here, but this guy misses a block, misses an assignment, sacks our quarterback, fumble, they get the ball, they go down, score, or puts us in a 4th and long or something like that. So a lot of the times it comes down really just to one play.
And sometimes if that play happens early in the game, it takes the wind out of you.
It absolutely
And I always, as a believer, don't let one mistake turn into 3 and 4 and 5 mistakes. Stop it at one mistake. Make yourself better. Be a better team player. You see something on the bench from a player that is playing your position. You see he did something wrong. Hey, I've seen this. Maybe you might try this.
Yeah.
Just because you're sitting on the bench doesn't mean you're not that great player. Sometimes there's people that work their butts off that will never get on the field, but they have that opportunity to work their butts off and be on that team and get recognized by the coach. And the coach might even say, hey, listen, you're working your butt off. I'm going to give you this break.
Yeah. A lot of the times, and maybe it's just a today thing. I mean, maybe, they always say, okay, boomer, whatever. But it rings true. If the coach cannot count on you to give it your all during the practice, he's not going to put the game on the line. He's not going to put it on your shoulders. He can't depend on you. The coach has to be able to depend on you to deliver in tough moments.
Are you the one person that comes to practice ready? I mean, right on time every day. You're not there early to get ready, get yourself.
Yep.
Those little things you're determining your own goal.
And they're life lessons too.
Yes.
Because once high school's over, you're in the free world now. Now you're an adult. So these coaches teaching you responsibility, and that everyone else is dependent on you. Everyone on that team is depending on you to show up for practice, to make sure that you're ready to go and deliver.
And that goes to the next step in your life.
Yeah.
You don't realize it, but when you're looking at someone's job resume and stuff, and you see this, and you'll contact that person. Is this guy lazy? Is this guy show up all the time? Is this guy dependable? And if you can maintain the great, how can I say, if you can maintain your grades, your work, and everything, and be a top athlete, it's going to help you a lot more. But if you're one of those lazy people that want to just show up on game days, it's going to hurt you in the long run as an adult.
You have to put the time in Monday through Friday.
Yep.
During practice. You got to put the work in. And it's not necessarily you have to go to a private school to show everyone what you're all about. There's a lot of coaches that I talk to, college coaches, that recruit these kids that will say, look, if you're 6'3", 6'4", 240 pounds, and you're playing at Lockport, we're going to notice you.
Yeah.
You don't have to go to Canisius. You don't have to go to a private school. We're going to see you out there.
Well, I can't remember the guy's name. It's been so long. But there was a lineman from Albion. He was 6'7". I mean, he ended up at UB, but you can't teach size.
You can't teach size.
You got that size, and you can put that extra oomph in there. You're going to get recognized.
Sure. So a lot of the times it doesn't necessarily have to be where you're playing.
Yes.
I mean, you want to find the right fit, of course. Maybe you want that Catholic education. Maybe that's why you're going to private school, and that's fine.
Then you got some coaches who have different systems, and you don't fit into their system. So you go somewhere where you fit into the system, but you're not going to always agree with your coach. You're not going to always agree with your employer, but you have to put the effort in to say, well, this is what you want. I'll do what you want.
Yeah. I mean, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, when you go to your job, it's what the boss wants. Otherwise, you leave. You quit.
Well,
go get another job. But when you clock in, when you punch in to work, to your job, it's outlined for you. You have your responsibilities. This is what's expected of you, and you do it. And the minute you start to curve one way to form, the way you want to operate, that's when things get crazy.
Oh, like you said, you come to that fork in the road.
Yeah.
Make sure you make the right decision to go down the right road.
Yeah. And nobody wants robots.
No.
You like personality. But the behavior on the sideline is big. The behavior, the way you interact with your coaches and your teammates, that's very big. And that's stuff that you guys, that we take into account in the County Cup.
Yeah, we do. And I'm going to tell you another one that will take that into account. As also a college coach for a while here, we look at that stuff as a college coach. Are you a team player? Just because you're the best player on the field doesn't mean that if you're not a team player, there's no room for you with your better programs. You have to be a team player.
There's only so many D1 scholarships that school can give out. There's only so many. So there's a ton of competition. You may have D1 talent, but there's a good chance you may not have D1 attitude.
Exactly. You got to have that. You got to have that mentality.
D1 athleticism is one thing, but having the mentality and the work ethic to back it up, and then the sportsmanship.
That's huge.
Yeah. So it all comes together, and you'll see that when these coaches come in and talk to you. When a coach comes to your school to talk to you, when they ask to speak to you, give them that interview. Give them the interview. You don't know what he's going to offer. You don't know why he's coming to speak to you, but it's good experience. Maybe that coach, maybe you don't like the school for one reason or another. You just heard something like, they don't run the offense I want, or maybe I don't fit into that defense. Wait till the coach at least comes and talks to you. And if maybe, and coaches come and go too.
Oh, yeah.
Not too many coaches stick around at one university or one college for too long. So
there's not too many Jerry Boyces out there.
No, but you should hear out that coach. Hear what he has to say. There are some guys out there that will refuse. Say, look, I'm going D1 and I got no time for a D2 or D3 coach. Let me tell you something. You make time, and if there's someone out there advising you not to talk to a D3 coach or a JUCO coach because they're filling your head with information that you're D1 and D1 only, fire that guy. Fire him immediately. That should not be someone you should be listening to. You should talk to as many coaches as possible. And accept their criticism, too.
And they'll go back to the same thing. It's going to prepare you for the next interview and the next interview and the next interview.
It's common sense. It's just common sense.
Yeah.
And we need a little bit more of that sometimes when it comes to player recruiting. We're getting this 8th game back. It does open up the opportunity for more games, more non-league games, publics and privates. How much does ego get in the way, you think, of not wanting to schedule? Or how much is it that coaches are just think that some programs cross the line and just recruit active players. And when I mean by active players, I'm talking sophomores and juniors.
Yeah, they don't recruit seniors.
No.
And actually, it's younger. I don't even think they recruit the juniors as much.
Players going into their sophomore year.
Yeah, that's where you're going to do
yeah.
that. I mean, they're not, you know, I don't even think it's actively recruiting, you know. You have camps, they come to your camps, and that's another thing. You go to someone's camp, a lot of these camps aren't just a coach from that college.
Yeah.
The coaches from all different colleges.
Yeah.
And you're making your impression on on one of those several coaches that are doing a camp.
Sure.
But I don't think it's this day and age. It's not an attitude thing. I just, you know, I think it goes to more of the schools that are affected by it, that lose players to this certain school all the time.
And they do.
And there's a lot of schools out there, like I said, that do want to play these teams, but without that 8th game, they didn't have that opportunity. I'm hoping with this 8th game opening up that they take advantage of that opportunity.
I hope so. I mean, you know, when these big schools have to go out of state to play games, I mean, it's good exposure for the kids. You cannot take that away. It's great exposure, but budgets with the financial constraints that it has.
It's going to be worse this year. Everything. I mean, everybody's going to be on the short end of budgets. They're talking about cutting 20% off of your school budgets. You know where it's going to come from.
So, I don't think it's the private schools so much having turning down the publics. I think it's more the publics turning down the privates.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and I understand that. I get that.
Like
that.
I
There's
said,
definitely reservation.
It goes
I wish there wasn't, but
it goes back to the fact that, you know, I'm saying this, have them take Kenmore. They're playing, you know, St. Joe's in a non-league game. And how many kids from Kenmore are going to St. Joe's? It's not that they're as much as they're recruited as they're right down the street.
Yeah, there are kids that I've met over the years that I had no idea who they were. They were Kenmore kids, lived 4 or 5 blocks over, that went to Joe's or went to Canisius or somewhere else. I had no idea they even existed.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I laugh about a story. You know, everybody for years until what do you call it, from South Park won the Smith, I think, won the Conley Cup. They said there was no one from Buffalo that won the Conley Cup. I said, there's been several kids from Buffalo that won the Conley Cup. They just didn't play in the Buffalo system.
Yeah,
but that's what I think. That's what hurts most of those people. You had that little incident. Was it South Park in Timon a few years back?
Oh yeah.
But I mean, blame. You know, it's 1 or 2 kids, but it's in the bottom line. We got to do what's best for the sports in this area.
Yeah.
And like you said, going out, you as a coach, you don't want to take them non-league games and play a cupcake. You want to play a very good team.
Yes.
You're not going to get better by playing weaker teams. It's not going to hurt you when it comes to the sectional games or playoff games. It's not going to help or hurt you.
Yeah.
Take advantage of that.
Yeah. Yeah. I do. I can't emphasize enough that how important it is for at least the AA teams to go out there and test yourself and get ready. Bennett does. Bennett's playing Canisius this year. They played Joe's the last 2 years. I know Lancaster wanted to play St. Francis and this year and next. It just didn't work out this year, but we're hoping that we'll start that way. Now, I hate to put people on the spot, but I know that tradition is huge in Western New York and then pretty much all over. Should they suspend the Lancaster-Depew game for a few seasons just until Depew can get either population back or numbers back in that program? Because that game is as amazing as the atmosphere is. It's just a no contest. It's been a no contest for a while.
It's an injury waiting to happen.
And that's the other thing that's, you know, Depew's filled with tough kids, good athletes.
Yeah.
But Lancaster is outweighing them 10-1.
Oh, yeah.
Especially when it comes to football. You know, I love the heart in those athletes. Love the heart. Would love to see an upset, but I don't know if we'll see it.
Well, it's like Tonawanda, North Tonawanda.
It took years for Tonawanda to get back.
But even though it's the same thing, you don't have you got 50 kids going up against 20.
Yeah.
I mean, you just don't have the capability of doing it. And you talk about practices. When you don't have enough kids to practice, what's going to suffer? Your special teams and all that other stuff, which could get you in trouble in a game.
No question about it. There was another question I had for you. I wanted to, in case you didn't hear, I got some questions about this, but I'm sure O'Hara will have a team this year, Cardinal O'Hara. But I have been told that if they are unable to field a team, those seniors will be given a waiver and opportunity to go play at St. Joe's.
Yeah, I heard that too.
Okay, so if you're an O'Hara senior this year, and God forbid they can't have a season,
well,
those seniors will be allowed to join the St. Joe's football program, which is big.
We got to look back, with this pandemic going on. A lot of your fundraising for these private in the Catholic system aren't there. How's that going to affect your smaller schools? Are they going to be able to recoup that money and keep those programs running?
Anybody's guess, but you would hope.
Hopefully it doesn't hurt anybody, but I got that feeling in the long run it's going to hurt a few of the schools.
Yeah.
And how many parents aren't going to be able to afford them now? Because they've been out of work.
Yeah. It's bad. Yeah.
It's just bad, but I still think we need to get those games going. I mean, back when I first started this many, many years ago, St. Francis used to play Wheatfield all the time. They used to have some great games. But, I mean, let's get those games back in here. Let's make it better for the area.
Do you remember about a month ago I had Mary Margaret Johnson in here? And she's from Texas. She's a Texas girl.
Yeah, I did watch it. Yeah.
Did you hear that?
Yeah. My son's coaching.
Yes.
Coaching Houston, and it is. It's true.
The public schools are the place to be. They kill the private schools.
Yeah.
They bury the private schools. So, it's upside down.
Yeah.
It's day and night. That's Texas football. We're not going to be Texas football, at least in our lifetime.
No.
If ever. But we could catch up to like a Pennsylvania or Ohio.
Yeah.
We could.
Easily. Look at what we've done over the last few years, just in the state alone.
Yeah.
Well, but like you said, if we start playing these private schools, it's going to get you ready for that playoff game.
Yeah. And if
you look back at certain coaches that they'll play their players throughout into the fourth quarter, even though they're beating a team handily. Well, you look at it, you only have 7 or 8 games, and they're not playing but a half to 3 quarters.
Yeah.
How are they going to handle having a fight from the opening whistle to the final whistle? They haven't done that.
No.
And they need to be in that position that they've been able to play a whole game. And this is where they'll be able to do that. They'll be able to play a whole game and have the competition and be ready for when the sectionals.
And that's all that matters. That's all that matters. Having this 8th game, though, is big. It's an extra game. If a kid plays, from his freshman year, that's 4 extra football games, 4 extra games worth of film. All those extra practices, you're talking extra 25 practices perhaps, too.
And you just talk about Houston. They play 13 regular season games.
Yeah.
You got film on kids for – believe me, they're not going to – as a coach at the college level, we're not going to go out and watch a team, that's scoring 30 runs against a team that hasn't scored any all year. It's just common sense. You want to go to those games that are competitive.
Yeah, and that's the other thing that there's a little misconception there sometimes with how we vote on the Connolly Cup for that Player of the Week. Again, if you're a Connolly Cup nominee for the week, we try not to have the same player every week.
For the first 4 weeks.
At least for the first 4 weeks. We try to have it different. So, yes, if you're a Connolly Cup nominee in week 1, and let's say you only had 150 yards, 3 touchdowns, or 150 yards, 2 touchdowns in week 1, and then week 2 you have 500 yards, 10 touchdowns, you were nominated in the first week. It doesn't matter the second, third, or fourth. Calm down. We noticed. It's going to go in your file. We're going to remember.
Every week we talk about every player seen by our committee.
Yes, we do. And you get the father from somewhere that's, my son had 8 touchdowns in the first 2 weeks and he didn't make it either one in the third week.
And sometimes you do that too.
Yeah.
We take your better players,
Yes.
knowing that they're going to
Yes.
be there toward the end. There's over close to 3,000 athletes out there.
Yes.
Let's let everybody be noticed. I mean, let's just put the top 15 guys in it every week that they're the same top 15 guys. It's not what it's about.
Yeah.
It's recognizing the accomplishments of every kid on every team. And that goes back to what Mike Masters is doing, and it's a great thing that he does. And it's something that these kids can look forward to.
Sure. Yeah, and that's something you put in your resume too.
Yeah.
Let's not forget,
I'm a
character athlete of the game.
I mean,
Absolutely.
That puts you up on the top.
Absolutely.
Like I said, when you go to the next level, character and work ethic are above being a superstar. How many college kids have we seen that were great? I'm not going to bring up any names, but bounce from college to college every year because they can't get along with the coaches. They say something to the coach. That's not going to make it to the next level.
How often does that happen? Too often.
Yeah, way too often.
Too often. I would say 4 out of 10.
I know
40% of them.
I know when I
and
played.
That might be low.
When we played sports back in the day, well, we didn't stop. The coach, you did what the coach said, and there was no, but coach, no, you did what the coach said, and you did it hard. Nowadays, you get them, some of these kids, and you tell them, you're asking them to do something to make them better, and they look at you like you're on another planet.
Yeah, there's a lot of second guessing where there shouldn't be any.
Yes.
A lot of that has to do with just what they're seeing on social media, their friends and, parents in their ear. How many times do we see, I got my 37th D1 offer? Nobody cares. In the grand scheme, nobody cares. You can only go to one school.
I'm going to tell you, go back to, you got to remember when you think it's bad as a high school, when you go D1, they own you. They own you the whole time you're there.
They do.
And you can't say, no, I'm not going to do that.
And they'll pull that scholarship quicker than you can say, I
God
stink.
bless you.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you just got to it's a continuous thing.
Yeah. It absolutely is. And, I don't know how soon we're going to be able to get out there again and do things, but
I hope it's fast.
You and me both. What else you got going on this week?
Not much. I've been doing a little talking to a couple of the guys. We got a friend of ours that's getting ready to retire. I want to do something special for him.
Okay. We'll talk about that.
Yes, off the air.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be a surprise.
We're going to play that interview with Joe Kraus, and I probably won't catch you on the flip side, but I want you all to have a great weekend. Our lineup next week, we got a pretty good lineup next week. In case you haven't heard, Stu Boyer is here on Monday. Derek Ancino from Aquinas is going to be here on Tuesday. Not when I say here, he's going to be, we're doing a Zoom chat. We'll be on the show. Wednesday, Glenn Graham.
Oh, talk about somebody that does a great job and is for the kids in Western New York. Doesn't get any better than Glenn Graham.
He's a guy that steps up to the plate no matter what. He always steps up to the plate to help out the greater good. Love that guy. Thursday, Mark DeFilippo, ECIC Executive Director. And on Friday is Chris Watson from the New York State Public High Schools. He'll be on with me. I know Jeff Roth from Wilson, the AD, will be on. If not next week, I'll have him on the week after, so he's coming up too. So thanks again to Scroy Financial, UBMD, and G&G Fitness. Stay healthy. Use your face mask if you're outside. Go into the store, whatever you're doing, and keep social distancing. And, hey, this is the home stretch now, Dennis.
Yes.
It's the home stretch, man. We're almost there. Let's just keep up the good job you're doing out there. And have a great weekend. Here's Joe Kraus on the Sportsline.
We didn't get here by accident. It starts with a plan to protect your future, to invest in your future. It started with Scroy Financial. Plan, protect, invest. Scroy Financial.
We needed a plan to protect what matters most. By investing in our future, That all started with Scroy Financial. Plan, protect, invest. Scroy Financial.
It's Frank Wolf from WNYathletics.com, and my guest today is Mr. Joe Kraus from North Tonawanda, a graduate of 2016, went on to Canisius College, where he has completed his first 4 years there and is graduating this spring. Joe, thank you very much for joining me today on the Sportsline. How are you?
I'm doing well, Frank. Thanks for having me. Everybody in the Kraus house is hunkering down during these times. I wish all the best to you and yours, and I'm great that we're able to do this, especially today. I know it's been a very painful week here at home, here in Western New York, and across the country. So, thanks for doing this. I think it's been a guiding light for a lot of people.
Appreciate that, Joe. We've been working together for quite a while. I think we first hooked up maybe your junior year at NT when I first found out about you. Maybe your senior year, you might have done something for us. Maybe some hockey games when we were testing out equipment. We had some fun times working through some technical difficulties. If you remember from the Northtown Center, that was a treat. But we struggled, and we learned from our mistakes. And here we are in 2020. You've called 24 or more basketball, football, and hockey games for us. Especially this past fall and winter, did an exceptional job. And then, we saw you interning quite a bit with Damon and Coach Moranto, who you have a long relationship with. Your work at the Tonawanda Sun has been exceptional through your friendships with those guys, including Dave Rickey, who's been mentoring you for quite some time. You had the Sports Corner back at the old high school, Logs from the Lumberyard, so much to talk about, so many things you've done, and then, of course, graduating from college. And I wanted to ask you, does it seem like all that hard work, all that sacrifice over these years is starting to pay off a little bit for you?
I think it has. Obviously, there's still a long road ahead. You can't get too far ahead. There's a great guy in my corner, too, that's said a lot about staying in the present moment. And at times it is tempting to look ahead. I think so far this 10-year run, maybe all the way back to second grade, I think that's really when it all started. There was at Spruce Elementary, they had the morning announcements, and the one girl that was there at the time, a few years ahead, and she said, "Hey, you want to stop by and see how we do it in the morning?" And it was huge. And I think that carried over. This 10-year run, it's this 10-plus year run. It's really just been a matter of taking the opportunities, surrounding yourself with the right people. I think that is very huge. You see all these success stories, not success, a lot of people that have succeeded, they've been around, they've had the right people in their corner, and I've been fortunate enough to be around guys like yourself, and just embracing those opportunities, making the most of it, and going from there. I think there's a long road ahead. If this is the fortunate road I can go on, but so far it's felt pretty good to make it through. We'll see what happens from here.
Joe, you show a lot of guts, and it's one of the things I admire about you, because there's not a lot of people out there that are willing to take chances. And, you took a huge chance I want to say, not this past year, maybe it was this past fall or last spring, when I had asked you, Joe, look, I've got to go out to Syracuse to do, I think it was Syracuse, to do some lacrosse games or soccer games.
Yep.
And, you didn't really hesitate. I mean, you jumped on that opportunity. You called, I want to say, 2 games that night. And then I introduced you to a place called Chick-fil-A that you had never been to before, which I still can't believe. But, I mean, that was that's not like around the block. That's not you going down to, even Dunkirk. I mean, we were in a truck for 3 hours to get out to Syracuse. We called a couple of good games and put it on a big platform like NFHS, and then we drove home together. And, not a lot of guys want to do that. Not a lot of girls are willing to take that chance. I'm happy you did. And I think you learned a lot that day about how to operate on your own, away from home, out of your element. You called a sport that you don't normally call a lot of games for. And I think that's what you need to do if you really want to make it in this business and taking those types of chances. Your counterpart, Francis Beck from Kenmore East, he's been with us for just as long, and he's done that too.
Yeah.
But those are some of the things that you need to do if you're going to make it in this business, is just test yourself. And that's one of the things that I admire about you and Francis. This past winter, you got an opportunity to intern with Channel 4. Talk about interning there on on one of the networks.
Well, I think every internship, the three that I did, the Twin City Sun junior year, Buffalo Bisons last summer, and then Channel 4, everything kind of built up. There's been a lot of foundation, every spot has had layers. So for Channel 4, I guess it was a dream come true. I think that's the best way I can put it. Just growing up in Buffalo, watching all these sports guys and girls, men and women do it all this time, meeting some of them through the years. Like Jeff Russo was probably my biggest influence growing up, and then to have the chance to work at Channel 4, a historic institution in this area, not just in sports but also in news, and to work with just a great crew, it was a great time. It was, again, the ending. It was, unfortunately, we didn't get to finish out because of this situation. But everything happens for a reason, and I was glad that I got those 10 weeks in, working with Ben Harner and Mary Margaret Johnson, learning from those two especially. I think Jenna, she's doing so far in Pittsburgh, and I think she has a lot more ahead of her. And just the work ethic overall from both of them, Frank, I think it was something to see. Like Mary Margaret, and you mentioned this when she was on the show a few weeks ago, right? Before she came here to Buffalo, there really wasn't, at the three stations, there really wasn't somebody that was devoted just to the high school scene, right? And I think, that I know of, I think she was the first one that had her own curtain call, her own chant when we went to Canisius College for basketball, and the St. Joe's and Canisius Skies, chanting Mary Margaret, and it's just super cool, and I'm excited to see where she goes. And then for Jenna, again, the one moment that I recall, it was right after Scott Swenson, right? They both came, he and Josh Reed came back from the they were going through transcribing some quotes for the next broadcast. And so Scott's like on one side of the room, Jenna's at her own desk, and meanwhile I'm in the back working on some UB basketball practice, writing a script and everything, and you can see out of the corner of her eye frame, by the time I finished, probably halfway through, she was just firing away, just doing everything, and just being able to be around that department, it was very helpful. And I'm so grateful I got to do that, to cross off the bucket list that I could work or intern at a TV station while in college. It was a great time.
Talking with Joe Kraus, the NT professor, 2020 graduate of Canisius, 2016 graduate of North Tonawanda. This one sponsored by Scroy Financial, UBMD Orthopedics, and G&G Fitness Equipment. Glad to have Joe on with us today. Joe, some of the trials and tribulations you've gone through, and some of the advice you'd want to give to those men and women, young men and women that are graduating high school, that are entering this field, that are going to study, to hopefully break into this field, those students that are heading to Canisius or Niagara or Fredonia or wherever, Buff State, to work in this field. What type of advice do you have for them today that helped you throughout, and stuff that you've learned from your mentors, if you will?
Well, I think from my mentors specifically, I think you just have to go in and just do your job. I know that's kind of simple, whether it's in this profession or another spot. I think if you can just go in and do the job and show that you care, I think it'll help. I think one phrase that I've learned overall years, it's kind of funny. I think I think most people are familiar with the sitcom The Brady Bunch, and every single week, each child, 6 children, had their own trial and tribulation. The one kid, he was, his voice kept cracking when they were trying to sing. The other had to lie to bring their favorite football player to their house to get that big catch with Joe Namath, Bobby Brady. And I think the one quote from Carol Brady, and I actually used this, Frank, for my National Society quote my senior year, and it was, "Find what you do best and do your best with it." And whether it's writing, whether it's music, drawing, anything. If you have that talent, Frank, I think, and you can help others with it, I think it'll help. I think another one I mentioned earlier about you have to leave your ego at the door. Be a team player. When we're on a broadcast, right? Whether it's with you, whether it's with Tom Prince, whether it's with Francis or Tim or Stat Guy, everybody is on the same level. And I know that others, unfortunately, aren't this way. I think more should be this way. The way that I'm going to go with it is like, hey, if we're all representing WNY athletics or Demon College, we all have something that we bring to the table, and it's not about you. I think this profession, and there are other professions, it's not about you. I mean, it's simply playing. Be prepared is another big one, I think, right? Whether it's for school, especially for school, and this is a big tip for freshmen going to college. If it's snowing, make sure you give yourself enough time to clear off your car before you go to class. You will learn. If you don't, you're going to learn that very quickly when the first snow hits. If you don't, and I think for broadcasts especially, Frank, after you ask me about, or say, hey, we have this game at Kenmore West, what first thing I ask you?
For rosters,
Yeah.
the first thing.
Yeah.
Well, there's one of probably 8 questions you ask, and the first thing is usually rosters, but then there's about 5 or 6 that follow, but they're all relevant to being prepared for that event.
Right, and I think always, when you have those rosters, if you can get them, and we've done our best doing so, and I appreciate the coaches that have reached out to us. But I think having that idea of who is going to play, if you can do that, that's a lot. And I think the last one, Frank, out of all these tips, and this one's probably the closest one to heart for me. This was one of the first things I learned all the way back in 7th grade that still works for me. It's, you're never a failure until you quit trying. And I think that's why I've been fortunate to get this far. I think it was just the idea, 7th grade band, my teacher, Mr. Michael Denny, probably the greatest teacher I've had. And that's not a knock to all the others that have helped me along the way. That's not what I mean in any form. But in 7th grade band, we were working on this one drill, and it just, things weren't working, right? When you're a musician, right, you're trying to hit that right note. It wasn't working that day, and he took me aside and he said, "You have the talent to go far," and that was really humbling to hear. And so, if you're never a failure until you quit trying, that carried me through high school. Booking the big guests, right? Inviting to Capaccio, especially junior year. If I didn't try, you don't get, right? If you don't try, you don't ask, you don't get. So that's really been the big thing, and I know that a lot of these seniors are hurting right now. All the seniors are hurting right now from what's going on. But you're never a failure until you quit trying. I think that's the biggest carrying me through. And adversities are unwanted necessities that lead to our next big opportunities. I think that if you can sum that up, that's what life is about, pretty much, from what I've learned. Again, that's just my 2 cents for the seniors. Whether it fits in your wallet, that's up to you. But those are the big keys I can point out.
Are there any internships that you're trying to get right now? Like, have you thought about maybe trying to intern with like the Bills or the Sabres or even UB Athletics or something to that effect? Or is it too hard to kind of break into that right now with this pandemic hanging over our shoulders?
I think partially because of this pandemic, but I think too, I'm still sorting out which path I want to go. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I was told early on, do as much as you can in everything you can. So I did as much writing and broadcast and podcast and everything. So I'm still deciding on that point. I think the name of the game right now is just trying to produce as much content as possible. But I mean, if whatever path I can go on, I think a dream scenario, if you're wondering about that too, if there was a way, whether it's here or another market, but do some type of, maybe not the sports corner pound for pound, but something like that, where it's a little bit of the sports and music and just something that just brought people together. I think that'd be cool. But I mean, I wish I had a better answer for you with that. But I think right now it's just taking one day at a time and finding as many opportunities as possible and running with it.
What's the most enjoyable side of the business for you? Is it the writing? Is it finding the story, writing a feature, or doing a game broadcast, being a part of a broadcast?
I think it's a little bit of all. I think my interest in writing has grown through college. And I think I hope I've improved on that. I still like doing play-by-play. I like it all. I mean, I'm really, at this point, still interested in a lot of things, still exploring is the right word, and just trying to do a lot. If I had to pick though, it would the one thing would probably be writing, and then the play-by-play is slightly, it's a toss-up. I think the writing, the best part, not seeing the byline per se, but when people come up to you afterwards, even years after I wrote a specific person about a story about their son or daughter, and they're still like, hey, thanks for doing the story, you did a great job with it. Even stories that were diamond in the rough that nobody else really did, like on our friend from center court, Chad Andrews. I was shocked when he told me, he's been around for 10 plus years. I was shocked when he told me no one has really done this project. And to be able to do it that way, especially during Buffalo State, timing was right. And so I think writing is the best way, or my favorite part of everything. But it's slightly up there with play-by-play.
What's been the biggest challenge for you throughout this entire ordeal, from your early days of just reading the announcements all the way up through graduating from college? What's been your biggest challenge so far?
I think just the multiple mental hurdles that go with any profession. Throughout college, it wasn't it wasn't smooth sailing all the time. Especially during that transition, I needed to make, I needed to make some adjustments to myself, and I think it's just that. I think the mental hurdles. I think rejection is huge in both ways. I think there is the negative side of rejection, but there have also been times, maybe this has happened for you as well, when it wasn't the right time to be in that role, be in that job. Sometimes things, even when you work as hard as you do, sometimes it just doesn't work, right? So I think just the mental hurdles and trying to build the confidence. I'm still developing that confidence. I will admit that. I think acceptance in your mistakes early on. I think being able to do that. I think the toughest part also is just trying to, persevere through those troubles. It's very hard. A lot of people quit. That's why you're never a failure until you quit trying. And I think there's a lot of mental hurdles that have been fortunate enough to power through with the help from a lot of people.
Joe, it's you have a very close knit family. I see you guys at well, it's been a few months, but I know I see your parents or your brother or you sitting in the same pew at St. Amelia's pretty much every Sunday morning, and that's always good to see. But you've walked this. You've been lucky in the fact that you've been kind of walked side by side with your brother Nick, who's your twin. You guys were together forever. You coached together in North Tonawanda in that basketball league against each other, maybe growing up with him. But you guys had to. You finally went separate ways, so to speak, academically, right? He went to Niagara, and you went to Canisius. Was that was that a major adjustment for you, kind of going on your own? Maybe him getting out of your shadow, or you getting out of his shadow, so to speak?
I think early on, maybe the start of that freshman year, but I think it was a necessity. Honestly, I think we needed to. And keep in mind, when we were in high school, we had our thing. He was with sports. I did my own. So it wasn't like we were always, to the head. But college was definitely, he's to be honest, the way that he's been able to carry himself and lead take over the NC Youth Center basketball program the past couple of years, and pursuing an education career, it's really inspiring to see. So I guess it was kind of an adjustment, but also in the sense that, it had to happen at some point. And, right now, this is kind of a great time for all of us. Our parents, we're all here, so we still see each other a lot. And yeah, I mean, you're a brother too. It's a great feeling.
Absolutely.
Fortunate enough to have him.
Yeah. Joe, I know we'll be doing this again. I don't want to cut you short today, but I'm hoping to have you on again. You just did a great article for us on that, the section, the New York State Public High Schools approving a motion to extend the season to an 8th regular season game. You can see that on WNYathletics.com right now. We'll have plenty of more articles for you to dive into, and we'll try and keep you as busy as we can. We absolutely love having you a part of WNY Athletics. It gives us great exposure. It gives you great experience, and it's it's leading other individuals like yourself to our site as well. So we appreciate everything you've done and continue to do. And we're right behind you. If there's anything else that our site can do for you, just let us know. You can follow Joe on Twitter at Joe_Kraus 18, and he's pretty active on social media. Usually he's posting about his favorite country music artist and things of that nature. So you can't fault him for that. I love listening to your the music that you post often. I usually listen to. So I think we're on the same page as far as genre goes. It's going to be a difficult summer without sports, but here we are. I have I can't tell you what to do without it because this is the first time I've had to deal without sports. So we're all learning as we go here. But I do wish you the best in everything you're doing. Congratulations on graduating. I still cannot believe it that it's already here. I mean, just yesterday I seen you out at a Northtown One baseball game calling a game in which I had a couple of former players playing in. And, you've done an exceptional job over the years, and I know that all that hard work and sacrifice is going to pay off. Eventually, you'll probably be with ESPN and too big for WNY Athletics, but at least we could say that we had you for a period of time. So don't forget about us when you get that call from Berman.
Absolutely. Yeah, never. Absolutely. Whatever you need, let me know. Again, I just really quick, thinking about everybody out there, thinking about the seniors, thinking about just the senior class overall. It's a tough time. We're going to get through it. I think the light's at the end of the tunnel. I don't know when the light's going to be there. I hope we're back for football sooner rather than later. And it's going to be a tough time, but I think out of all of it, we're all going to be grateful for the little things. And so thanks for having me. Wash your hands, of course, everybody. And, this was a blast. Thanks for having me today.
As soon as I get done with this interview, I'm going to wash my hands, by the way. But it was a pleasure having you on board today, Joe, and we look to have you soon. If there's a Lions Club game, that's all yours to call for WNY Athletics. If you're available, that's your assignment. Well, I'm offering you the assignment first. So